In this lesson, we're going to take a quick look at how to run the file system using Windows 8. So it's very similar to Windows 7. So let's get to our desktop. So from Windows 8, we'll go to our desktop. And now that we're on our desktop, we can go into our files and folders, coming down here and clicking on the File Explorer, which opens up our files. And just like in Windows 7, over here on the left hand side, we have our document folders, we have our libraries, music, pictures, videos, we have our desktop, we have our downloads. All that's pretty much the same. So let's go ahead and look in documents. Let's click on documents. Now, one thing that we have here is we have these navigation tools that we don't have in Windows 7. We can go back. We do have a back button in Windows 7, but we also have this up button, which takes us up a level through our directory structure. So we go up higher and higher through our directory structure each time we click that up arrow. We also have a recent pages, which allows us to look at the recent folders or files that we were in. The other thing that we have in Windows 8 is we have this arrow up here that allows us to expand the ribbon. So we have all these tools available to us now that we don't have in the other operating systems. So if I want to take and make a folder, let's say I'm going to go into my documents folder, I can make a folder the same way I always have. I can just right click within the area here and go ahead and say I want a new folder. So I can create a new folder called Docs Stuff. So I can create a new folder that way. Now, I can also create a new folder by coming up here into the ribbon, as long as I've got it expanded, and saying new folder. And I'll create another one that way. So I can say Doc Stuff 2. Now I can copy anything I want from one place to the next. Let's say I want to put Doc Stuff into Doc Stuff 2. So I can simply take and copy that, and then I can right click on Doc Stuff 2 and paste it, which makes a duplicate of it. So if I go in here into Doc Stuff 2, now I have a folder named Doc Stuff 2 inside there. And it's a duplicate of what was out on the other folder. I just hit the delete key on my keyboard now to delete it. I'm going to go back to Docs, to the Documents folder here. And let's say I want to move it there. Now I can move it in two ways. I can click on Doc Stuff 2. I can say Move To. Then I can click on Choose Location, and I can go ahead and navigate through here, and I can find the location that I want to take and put it. So I can say I want to put it into my documents, Doc Stuff 2, select that, and say Move. And it'll move it in there. Kind of a long, drawn-out process to do that. I'm going to do Control Z on my keyboard. Z is in zebra, which I'll undo it. So I hold down the Control key and hit the Z key. And Control Z is a great keyboard command to take and memorize, because you will use it a lot. Anytime you make a mistake or do something you didn't really intend on doing, don't panic. Just hit Control Z. And in most programs, you can undo multiple times. So if you're 2 or 3 steps away and you realize you made a mistake, you can just hit Control Z, Control Z, Control Z, and just keep undoing until you get back to where you were. A faster way of moving this is simply by dragging it and dropping it into the other folder. That takes and moves it also. We also have the search over here. We can search for documents or search for things, whatever it is that we want to take and search for. We just type in whatever it is that we want to search for, and it's going to look for everything in that particular folder that we're highlighted on over here. It's going to take a look for whatever we type into that. So if you lose something, all you need to know is a partial name of it. You don't need to know the entire name of the document. If you didn't find it in that folder, maybe you got to go out further. You can come over here to Computer and say I want to search the entire C drive. And now I want to look for everything that's got doc association to it. So it takes and looks through and finds all the documents that have that in the file name. So as long as you know a little bit of it, you can take and find your folder. We also have some advanced search options. See if I can get into those here. We can say partial matches. We can say search for the content. So maybe we don't remember the name of the file whatsoever, but we know what was in there. We know that we wrote a paper about Microsoft. So we can search for contents for Microsoft. And it helps if you know a few of the other words that were in there with it also, because it'll take and narrow down the list substantially from what you have right there. So we have our ribbon. If we look at this, a lot of it's pretty self-explanatory. You got copy, paste, move to, copy to, delete. Those are all things that we probably going to use. I'm going to get rid of this. We can take and create new items. We can take and create empty images. We can create empty text documents, all those kinds of things. We can do all that. Most of that stuff we can also do by right-clicking and saying new also. We can do the same sorts of things with it. We can also take and send some of this stuff up to our main menu. Let's say that we have programs that we want to use. Windows 8 is not the easiest to get your programs up that you want, but maybe we want to take and create shortcuts on the desktop. So I'm going to just navigate to the C drive here in Program Files. This is where all of our programs reside. I don't have much installed in this, but here's Windows Media Player. Let's see. Here's my Windows Media Player application. So let's say I want that on my desktop. What I can do is I can just right click and I can say send to desktop, which creates a shortcut for it on my desktop. So we can navigate in here, we can find our different programs, and we can send them out to the desktop, which is a handy thing to be able to do. Now, one of the other things that we may have to do is submit some folders with a bunch of stuff in it. So what we can do is we can right click if we need to submit a folder, because you can't attach a folder to an email, but you can attach a file. So what we can do is we can send a folder to compressed. So we right click the folder, and if we want to turn in everything inside that folder, we just right click it and say send to compressed file. Now it creates a little compressed folder. See, it's got a little zipper on it. That is now a single file, and that can take and be attached to an email message. And everything inside that folder will be there. If I have a compressed file and I want to uncompress it so that I can use it, I just right click it and I tell it to extract all. And it will extract it. I can say, where do you want to extract it to? It's going to extract it right back to where it was. And there it dumped itself in. It put it into doc 2. So it showed me what was there. So that's how you compress and decompress items. We do have some sharing options here. We're not going to get into that, but we can also compress something up here in our share. We can go ahead and just say click zip it, and it's now zipped. Okay, send to compressed folder does the same thing as zipping it. Now it's got a little parentheses 2 after it here. That's because it is now the second one. It had the same file name, so put that 2 on there so it had a unique name with it. We have different views here that we can use. Here in the details pane, we just get a little icon over here telling us what it is. It's a folder. These are all folders. Not much here to show you unless I can get to something else. Let me go to my C drive. It shows me that we're on a drive right now. I can go down here to an actual application. It shows me that it's the application. If I click a picture, it's going to give me a little thumbnail of what that picture is. So that's just the difference in those panels. I also have different ways of displaying my contents in my folders. You got extra large icons, medium icons, small icons. You have the ability to list them. You have details. I always like details myself because I like to see the date modified, the type, the size. All those kind of things are in here. It helps me figure out what it is. So those are all there. We can change how it's sorted. If you click on sort, you can sort by name, date modified, size. You can do that same thing by just selecting the different headings within your detail views. If I want to see what everything modified, sorted by the modified date, either ascending or descending, I can go ahead and click on that. Or I can do it by name also. Date modified sometimes can really help you find some things also. If you take and have changed something yesterday, you can't find it, well, the date modified should bring up everything in order the date was modified, so you can look at just the stuff that was changed yesterday. So that's all there also. We don't need any. This is more for images than it is for anything else. So those are the main things when it comes to Windows 8 and file structure. Remember, a good file structure allows you to take and find stuff. And I would use the documents folder and keep your different projects, different classes in different folders. You may want to take and put a folder in here for a particular class, and then inside that folder you're going to take and put in your individual assignments that you keep track of. It just makes finding and locating that stuff much easier. And then always remember that you can search. You can always search for documents that may be missing. Alright, that concludes this lesson.